Hello and welcome to this edition of Customer Spotlight. I'm Rob Collins, President of Blue Tech Machinery and Service, where your success is our priority. We're here today with Casey Lewis, owner of Beechwood Metalworks located in Burlington, North Carolina. Casey, would you mind sharing the history of Beechwood Metalworks with us?
Not at all. We came into being in 2004, and I was the foreman of a shop, and I was working from 7 to 4, and I would come home and work from 5 to 1 a.m. and I repeated that for about 9 months. And this was behind our house up in northern Alamance County. I had a barn that we had a Komatsu high definition plasma table that was a 4x8 table. We could cut up to 1/4-inch steel at that point, and I would modify my drawings to make the cuts more accurate so that my parts could be extremely accurate. We had a 15 thousandths tolerance that the machine promised, but I could get it under 5 thousandths fairly easily by modifying my drawings. One day the oxygen line ruptured in the torch head and of the plasma table, and it was fed by a 600-gallon liquid oxygen tank, and it totally burned our shop down, lost all our tools. We were amazed by, it was devastating because we didn't have any insurance at the time, and a friend of ours that helped get us going from the beginning, I was dreading making that call to him because we still owed him money. And the first thing he asked was I hurt? And I said no. And he said, was Emily hurt? And I said no. And he said, was anybody hurt? And I said no. And he said, okay, well, let's do it again. And so we were out of work for about 4 months. And during that time, the local arts council took some of the garden stake pieces that we were making when the fire happened, and they sold them for $100 a piece to raise money for me to go take a master metal shaping class with Faye Butler up in Connecticut. And so during this downtime, I went and took a class, and I learned more in that week than I had in the previous decade as far as metalworking was concerned. And he sat me down, and we started out with, this is an atom, it's made up of protons, neutrons, and electrons, and we went through the lattice structure of metal and how to displace carbon atoms and do complex curves in sheet metal. And so I learned metal shaping, and so during that changed my way of working. And so on my way back home, I got a phone call from a hospital in Oklahoma, and they had seen some work that we had done for UNC Chapel Hill Children's Hospital, and they just wanted it and gave us a budget and said, this is the budget, we want as much as you can make. So we started over, and that was in 2007, and since then we started growing. We started doing more industrial. We've always done industrial work, but we were doing industrial work, and we were doing high-end gates and handrails. And so when the economy tanked, that diversity was what kept us alive. And we were doing handrails and things for people because they were improving their houses, but they weren't buying houses. So we were amazed that allowed us to keep going. And so we started building a reputation, though, for doing high tolerance prototype work, and that when the customer got it, it was right and in tolerance and on time. And that became one of the most important things, was making sure that we did the work on time and did it right the first time. It wasn't that we didn't make mistakes, it's just that we didn't let it get out the door that way. And that became one of our driving factors. And due to the fact that we do make a lot of unusual things, whether it be leaning spiral staircases or whether it be a sculpture that has no tolerance, it just needs to be aesthetically pleasing, it allowed us to think differently and continue to create new solutions for problems that weren't available via traditional metalworking practices.
So moving forward today, Casey, you've continued to diversify and expand your manufacturing capabilities. Would you mind sharing with us some of those capabilities?
Sure. We have grown. We've added on as far as we have another water jet. So we've got a 5x10 dual head water jet. We've got a 4x8 water jet that's single head. We've got a 3,000 watt CO2 laser. We've got a 12-foot, 250-ton press brake. We have a 6-foot, 45-ton press brake. We've got a 90-ton, 8-foot press brake. We have multiple Pullmax and Echold and Yoder power hammers for metal shaping. We have an 8-foot roller, 1/4 inch, and a 1/4 inch shear that's 10 foot. We have aircraft rollers for doing pipe and round bar. We have some small pipe bending capabilities. We can weld a brick to a 2x4. We can do, now we've added the Mitsubishi 5x10 laser that's a 4,000 watt that's just impressing us daily. And we have a 5x10 router, CNC router as well. And we have full automotive capabilities as far as painting is concerned.
Do you get into laser marking and that type of thing?
We've done some of this. There's a couple of desktop, one I'm not sure if you consider it a desktop. It's a 2x4 machine that can't cut metal, but it can do a lot of etching and cutting of organic materials and things of that nature. So it's another additional sort of thing that we can add to our collection to offer people as far as processes that we can do. So,
well, with all of those capabilities, is there, thinking back to the various types of work you've done in various jobs, and a lot of them art related, is there any one project that really stands out as one of your favorites or that was the most challenging for you?
One of my favorites is Cook Children's Hospital. We've done multiple projects for them. One of them is the 3rd floor rooftop. It's 2 rooftops, and it consists of a beating heart that is about 10 foot in diameter as far as the heart's concerned. It also has another heart that's static on the other side, but there's 15 aspen trees that range from 12 foot to 20 foot tall, and various flora and fauna. There are rabbit families and that are 2 to 3 foot tall, and we've got some cranes out there that are dancing around for the kids and in different poses and things like that, and flowers, and just something to take their minds off of what they're going through in the moment. That these kids are so amazing and impressive, the strength that they have, and it's very rewarding to be able to have an impact on their lives as well. And I don't think they realize how much of an impact on our lives that they have on us just with their bravery and what they're going through. And so that's one of my favorite projects, is that this particular hospital is nationally recognized as one of the best in the country, and they do everything with those kids in mind, and they're not a number. So it's a really wonderful place to get to visit from time to time and do work for.
So Casey, aside from the artistic metalworking that you're doing, what other types of work is Beechwood involved in?
As I said, diversity was what kept us alive in 2007, so I've tried to keep that in mind as we've gone forward. And so we do work for the aeronautical industry, and that includes parts for Bell Helicopter, and we are known for being able to keep fabrication within 3/1000ths, which is surprising for some people. It's not easy, especially with multiple bins, but we manage and figure out new ways every day to make that cleaner and stronger. But also do work for the government. We don't always know what these parts are. We get drawings that are a particular, it's a piece of the puzzle, so we never necessarily know what the function of these parts are, and that's perfectly acceptable as far as we're concerned. But we also do high-end gates and handrails, so that means not your typical, what people consider wrought iron, which, unless you're a blacksmith, that's not technically what it is, but more, a lot of times, modern and designed to suit for the customer, something that goes along with the architecture of their house, something that's unique to them. We've very rarely repeated the same design for people, and so anywhere from handrails to 5,000 square foot balconies, or landings for the side of people's houses, and gates that are constructed to look like nature. They might be stainless steel trees with 2,000 copper leaves going across them that are 25 foot wide.
And Casey, you also have a retail business. Could you share some info about that?
Sure. We have a small gallery in downtown Burlington called Owl and Rabbit, and it actually came into being out of necessity in a lot of different ways. We decided that maybe we should open a retail space, and so we looked into downtown Burlington and found a space and kind of made up what we wanted this to be. And we wanted this to be a place that was sort of magical, that you came in and you were in a different environment, and you could experience these, not only the garden stakes, but we decided why not include local artists and other artists into this to sort of round this out and make it not such a small pigeonholed sort of thing where you can only come get our garden stakes, but you can also find other art related things, paintings and things like that, and pottery. And so we decided that this would be a good way to explore this, and we opened up, and we were a little overwhelmed by the response. It was very, very positive. And we recently purchased 3 buildings downtown, and we refurbished one of the buildings for Owl and Rabbit, the gallery. And this was right before COVID hit, and amazingly enough, our sales went up 30% after having moved. And so it was quite a blessing and quite a wonderful response and support from our community to be able to expand our space and grow. And that's actually one of the reasons, or one of the contributing factors to us buying this laser, is being able to keep up with the growing demand for these items. People don't realize we make tens of thousands of these garden stakes a year now. All of the people that work here have to shift back and forth between something being aesthetically pleasing and something needing to be very precise. And so we need a very unique individual that enjoys that variety, but understands the importance of each individual element, whether it be precision or whether it be aesthetic value.
So Casey, you recently purchased a Mitsubishi Laser, and that's not something that most people take lightly. It's a big purchase. So would you mind sharing with us your process there and your thoughts on that equipment?
Sure. Well, Blue Tech actually was inspirational. Robert was up my butt about selling me a laser, and so I finally gave in. And because I figured it would be easier to buy a laser than make him go away. And so, but truly, we became friends, and were able to, he was able to guide me, because it was overwhelming in terms of not only, the price of a laser, but all the things that go along with it. So a lot of the things, the recommendations for people, even things that weren't necessarily, we had to open up our building to get the machine in because we didn't have a door big enough to get it in. And so he was able to, suggest certain contractors, which were helpful, and, professionals like Guy M. Turner that were, came in and helped us and just did an amazing job. It was really neat to watch them work. And, of course it wasn't all up into what they were doing, but just standing back and watching the process happen. It was very well oiled, and they were very safety conscious, which was important to me. And they got it in and had a plan, and it went very, very smoothly. And Mitsubishi came in and to do the installation itself, and that was impressive as well. They were very professional and very organized and very structured in how they did everything in a very clean manner. There was never a mess at all. I made more of a mess getting ready for the machine to come in than anybody. I just never even saw anything. So I was very impressed with the installation, how smoothly it went. And again, Blue Tech was able to recommend an order of when we need to have the HVAC guys come in to hook up the ventilation system, and when we needed to have the electrical come in to hook up the machine to be prepared for everything to flow smoothly throughout the process. And even down to making sure that I didn't panic and tell you guys to take the machine back. There was even some counseling that was available, so that all helped this process become a little bit smoother. So,
well, now that you have this fiber laser technology as well as all of the other manufacturing technology at your disposal, what's the best way for someone to reach Beechwood Metalworks?
We do have a website. It's www.beechwoodmetalworks.com, and that's BEECH. And you can email us through sales@beechwoodmetalworks.com. And we have also hired an outside salesman that people will be able to reach. Our number is 336-229-6199. And that's always an easy way to set up an appointment, and we can go over whatever your project might be. If it's made out of metal, and sometimes even if it's not, we can make whatever you need. We can actually build whatever you need. So there's very little that actually scares us off.